I started hearing the knocking 3 nights before the police found the first body. Not loud knocking, soft, patient. 3 taps on my apartment door every night at exactly 2:13 a.m. The first time it happened, I thought it was one of the drunk college kids from downstairs messing around. My apartment building sat near the edge of Cleveland, in one of those half-dead neighborhoods where every third window was boarded shut and every hallway smelled faintly of mildew and cigarette smoke. Rent was cheap because people disappeared from the area often enough that nobody asked questions anymore. I was 22, broke, and working night shifts at a grocery warehouse, unloading trucks. By the time I got home every morning, the sky looked bruised. Purple clouds, empty streets, wind pushing old fast food wrappers across the sidewalks like tumbleweeds. I lived alone on the 4th floor. At least, I thought I did. The first knock came on a Thursday. Tap, tap, tap. I woke instantly. The room was pitch black, except for the blinking green light from my phone charger. 2:13 a.m. I stared at the ceiling for a few seconds, waiting for another sound. Nothing. Then I heard slow footsteps outside my apartment. Not walking away, just pacing, back and forth. The carpeted hallway muffled the sound, but I could still hear the faint drag of shoes against the floor. Scrape, step, scrape, step. I grabbed my phone and checked the peephole. Nobody. Just the flickering hallway light buzzing overhead. I remember standing there with my hand on the deadbolt, trying to decide if I was paranoid or tired. Probably both. Then my phone vibrated in my hand. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. For a few seconds, there was only static. Then breathing. Wet breathing, like someone had just finished running. Hello? No response, but I could hear something else in the background. A television, very faint, and then my own voice coming through the phone. I hung up immediately. My heart started hammering so hard it made my chest hurt. I told myself it was some prank, some weird coincidence. I didn't sleep again that night. The second night, the knocking came again. 2:13 a.m., 3 soft taps. This time I didn't move. I just lay in bed, staring at the bedroom doorway, while the air conditioner rattled softly in the window. Tap, 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 and silence, then footsteps. Back and forth, back and forth. I could smell cigarette smoke drifting under the door now. Strong, fresh, the kind my dad used to smoke before he left when I was 12. I don't know why that detail bothered me so much. Maybe because nobody in the building smoked inside anymore. Management threatened eviction over it constantly. Then came the voice. Very quiet, almost a whisper. Ethan. I froze. Nobody in the building knew my name. Not really. I barely talked to anyone. Ethan, I know you're awake. I couldn't breathe. Every instinct in my body screamed at me not to answer. Then my bedroom floor creaked behind me. A tiny sound, but impossible, because I lived alone. I spun around so fast I almost fell off the bed. Nothing there, just darkness. I grabbed my phone flashlight and checked the apartment room by room. Bathroom, empty. Kitchen, empty. Closet, empty. But when I reached the living room, I noticed something strange. My television was on, muted. Static flickered across the screen. I knew I hadn't left it on. Then I noticed the chair near the window. It had been moved, turned toward my bedroom, like someone had been sitting there watching me sleep. I didn't call the police. I should have. Instead, I stayed awake until sunrise, clutching a kitchen knife like an idiot. The next morning, the cops flooded the apartment complex. A girl from the 2nd floor had vanished. 19 years old, college student. Neighbors said they heard knocking outside her apartment around 2 a.m., then footsteps, then silence. The police questioned everyone, including me. I remember standing in the hallway while officers walked in and out carrying evidence bags. One of them asked if I'd heard anything unusual lately. I almost told him, but something stopped me. Because while he was talking, I noticed the old man from apartment 408 staring at me. I'd seen him before, but never spoken to him. Tall, thin, gray beard, always wore yellow cleaning gloves, even outside. He smiled when our eyes met. Not friendly, knowing. That night, I stayed at my coworker Marcus's apartment across town. I didn't tell him the full story, just said someone in my building creeped me out. We spent the night playing video games and drinking cheap beer. For the first time in days, I relaxed. Then at exactly 2:13 a.m., Marcus's dog started growling at the front door. Low, violent, the kind of growl animals make before they attack. Then came the knocking. 3 soft taps. Marcus laughed nervously. "Yo, who the hell is here right now?" I felt ice spread through my stomach. Tap, tap, tap. The dog started barking hysterically. Marcus looked through the peephole, and all the color drained from his face. There's nobody there. The knocking came again immediately, this time from the bedroom window. We lived on the 3rd floor. Marcus grabbed a baseball bat. I remember every detail after that with horrible clarity. The buzzing refrigerator. The blue glow from the paused game menu. The dog backing away with its tail tucked. Marcus pulling the curtains open and immediately stumbling backward. "There's a man outside." I rushed over. Nothing was there. But taped to the glass was a photograph, a printed photo of me sleeping in my apartment, taken from inside my bedroom. Marcus wanted to call the police immediately, but I panicked. I grabbed my stuff and left before they arrived. I know how insane that sounds now, but fear makes you stupid. I drove aimlessly for almost an hour before realizing another car had been behind me the entire time. Dark SUV, no headlights, keeping distance. Every turn I made, it followed. Rain started pouring so hard the roads blurred silver under the streetlights. I called 911 while driving. The dispatcher kept asking for my location, but I could barely think straight. Then the SUV suddenly sped up. Fast. Too fast. Its headlights flashed on for one split second, and I saw yellow cleaning gloves gripping the steering wheel. I ran a red light. Almost got hit by a semi-truck. The SUV disappeared after that. I spent the rest of the night at a motel off the highway. Didn't sleep. At around 6 a.m., I finally checked my voicemail. I had 17 new messages, all from unknown number. Most were static, breathing, silence. But the last message was different. It was me, my voice, crying, begging, "Please, don't let him in." Then screaming, real screaming, not acting. The message ended with 3 soft knocks. Tap, tap, tap. I went to the police station that morning and showed them everything. The calls, the photo, the voicemail. An officer asked me to wait in an interview room. Hours passed. Nobody came back. Finally, another detective entered carrying a file. He looked disturbed, not scared. Confused. He asked me where I'd been 3 nights ago. I told him. Warehouse shift, then home. He opened the file slowly. Inside were crime scene photos. The missing girl from my building, or what was left of her. But that wasn't what made my stomach drop. It was the background of one photo. My apartment, my living room, my chair facing the bedroom. I kept shaking my head. That's not possible. The detective looked exhausted. Your fingerprints are all over the scene. I laughed at first. Actually laughed, because it was absurd. Then he played security footage from my apartment hallway. Timestamp, 2:13 a.m. The footage showed me standing outside the girl's apartment, motionless, for almost 20 minutes. Then knocking 3 times, softly, patiently, exactly the way I'd heard it every night. I couldn't speak. The detective paused the footage. "Do you have a history of sleepwalking?" "No." But even as I answered, memories started surfacing, small missing pieces. Waking up exhausted, dirt under my fingernails, the smell of cigarette smoke in my apartment, the moved chair, the static-filled phone calls, my own voice. The detective leaned closer. "We found over 400 photographs in your apartment." He swallowed hard. Most of them were taken while the victim slept. Victims. Plural. I remember throwing up in the interrogation room trash can. They searched my apartment that evening. Behind the wall inside my bedroom closet, police found a hidden crawl space, barely tall enough to kneel in. Inside were used food wrappers, cigarette butts, bottles of water, and a stained blanket. Someone had been living there, watching me, sleeping inches away from me every night. The old man from apartment 408 disappeared before police could question him. They never found him. But, according to building records, apartment 408 had been empty for over 8 years. I'm telling this story now because the charges against me were dropped 6 months ago. The police concluded I'd been manipulated, drugged, possibly hypnotized over time by whoever had lived inside my walls. They think he used me, turned me into part of whatever sick routine he had. I moved to Portland after everything happened. Different apartment, different job, different life. I haven't heard knocking in almost a year. Until last night. 2:13 a.m. 3 soft taps, and this time, they came from inside the wall behind my bed.